Welcome back to Inspiration Thursday. This is Life and Style. I'm your host, Mikali. I hope you had a great time with Tendai inventions, left, right, and center, and trust Tendai to bring them to you. Now, taking up from that, we're on Motivate, and I'm joined. We hijacked someone from the airport this morning. She just landed and we're like, you know what, we're not going to let you go before we have a conversation with you. Talking about Amy, who is all the way from what, America?
New York.
Right? New York
Yes.
Specifically. And she is a photographer and an educationer. What is
I'm
that?
a photographer. I've been an educator. I've taught.
Educator, say the
Yes,
education. Now, what is that, Mikali?
And I've worked in museums as a photographic curator, and in the film industry. I've had a lot of different experiences in my career. And now I have sort of a dual focus. One is on photography, my own work, where I have a series of projects that I've been working on over the last few years that I have shown in museums, cultural institutes. A lot of the work has been published in arts journals. So that's my sort of personal work. And about a year and a half ago, I met a couple of people in New York who work with an organization called ICAP at the School of Public Health at Columbia University. And they support clinics throughout the world that work with people who have various diseases, HIV/AIDS being the most prevalent. And they support a clinic at, and I'm going to read this because I'm very new to your language, at the Jaramogi Oginga Teaching and Referral Hospital in Kisumu City,
Yes.
where they work with adolescents who are HIV patients being treated for HIV at the clinic. And I was very impressed with the organization's setup, with all the clinics that they run throughout the world, and it seemed like their organization was a great delivery system for workshops that could use photography to help young people express themselves. And so I came to Nairobi and to Kisumu, where we spent the last couple of days, doing a sort of baseline assessment of the facilities in Kisumu, meeting children there, meeting the caregivers, and starting to formulate plans for this photography workshop that we hope to hold in November.
That's very, very interesting. And talking about photography, what kind of photography do you do?
I have worked for many years on a series of projects about what we call in America the built environment, which is anything from a building to a neighborhood to a village to a city. And I look at the way people live, the way they build their homes, the way the homes develop, depending on the needs of the individuals.
Wow, that's quite interesting.
So I've done a lot of that. My earliest work was in black and white, and I was very interested in the way people were depicted in ancient times, sculptures of people that were made in different cultures. And so I photographed a lot in Turkey and in Italy, in Greece, to sort of look at the way people were shown and were depicted in their daily lives. And from that I became interested in the general environment.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
And so what brings you to Kenya is the partnership that Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and
Yes, what brought me
Referral
here was
Hospital.
Exactly.
Yes, so how do you fuse the photography and what they're doing at the Teaching and Referral Hospital?
Well, the idea behind our project is to run probably a 5-day workshop with about 20 adolescents who are being treated at the clinic. And the idea is to bring some mentors, young Kenyan photographers, with us to Kisumu. And we will train the young patients in how to use a digital camera. We'll show them examples of photography that is being done currently in Africa, because there's such a wide range of photography happening here now that has great international interest. In New York, over the last probably 6 months, there have been 3 major exhibitions of African photographers, which is something that I think most people in the States have not really been exposed to before. So there's a big boom, I think, in photography in Africa and in Kenya in particular. So we hope to bring some young photographers, working photographers with us to inspire the kids, to motivate them to use the cameras to show us their lives. Because a lot of young people don't have the opportunity to really express themselves,
True.
particularly young people who are coping with very difficult problems in their lives, whether it's poverty or illness. And so we hope that the learning to use a digital camera, which is a very easy thing to do, but produces a very immediate image, that will allow them to express what's inside them to themselves. And I would like to mention that the idea of using photography in a workshop like this is not original. It's been tried in many different places. It's been tried in India with the children of sex workers there. It's been tried and implemented in rural Appalachia in the United States, where people live under very, very deprived conditions.
And what do they hope to achieve with this, or what do they get from, teaching people?
I think that what happens quite often is that we find that the people who are given cameras, even adults, are able to express themselves in ways they never have before. And it really changes their view of themselves in the world. I think it empowers them, it gives them dignity, it makes them realize that their voices count, because it's very easy to feel disempowered, especially if you are coping with very big issues in your life.
And even you could make a living out of that.
Well, that's the other piece of it. We hope, and we'll see if it works. I think that it will. We hope that by introducing young people to photography and introducing them to other slightly older but still young people who are making a living through photography, that it will give them an idea of a career path that they would not have had before. And we hope if some of the kids who are involved in the workshop actually do decide that they want to go further than what we can do in just a few days, we hope to either connect them to people who can sort of mentor them, or maybe offer a more sophisticated workshop in the future where they can learn more about the medium.
So Amy, you talked about bringing some mentors who are going to help these adolescents who are at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Referral and Teaching and Referral Hospital in Kisumu City. And are you going to be getting some of these mentors locally, because you also have photographers here?
Yes, all locally.
All of them?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
So is this a connection that you've already made, or you're looking to?
I've been in touch with a couple of photographers who were suggested by photographers and photojournalists in New York. But we are very open to talking to people who are interested, because the more hands-on we can be with the kids, the more advisors there are, the more successful I think the workshop will be.
Absolutely.
So we'd love to hear from people who are working professionally. I would particularly love to hear from some women. I haven't been able to identify any women photographers yet, but there are many young women who will be participating in the workshop, and I think that meeting young women who are involved in photography as a career, who are Kenyan and local, would be very inspiring to
Absolutely.
young women.
We have a particular segment called Photography on Artistic Tuesday, and I've met a few.
You have.
I've met a few female. Definitely, we'll talk about that later. And this project is starting at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Referral Teaching and Referral Hospital. Do you intend to take it further, so that
we hope
because
so.
I think it's a pretty noble cause, and many people would definitely love to be part of that.
We hope so. I mean, with ICAP's help and backing, we hope to extend it further, or even just to be able to accommodate more people, more young people, because there are over 300 young people in treatment there. So, we can only reach a small number the first time out, but we hope that we'll be able to grow the project in that way.
Okay. So how long will this take, the training and everything, now that you're here?
We're anticipating right now 5 days. So we'll have an introduction the first day to the camera and to photography in general. We'll then have probably 2 tracks, 2 groups happening simultaneously, where we'll work on exercises that we're hoping to tailor to what the kids want out of this. So when we met the day before yesterday, we asked the young people what they would like to see, what they would like to get out of it. And we're going to try to tailor the exercises to what they asked for. So we'll have some shooting probably around the location of the workshop. Then we'll take them somewhere, maybe to a historic site or to the museum in Kisumu, which is a great facility with all sorts of interesting outdoor exhibitions and things, and do some shooting there. And then probably the fourth day will be devoted to printing, learning to print with a printer on site where we'll hold the workshop. We'll print out the work that they edit and decide they want to exhibit.
Okay.
And then the last day we'll have an exhibition for family and friends, local healthcare workers, anybody who wants to come and see the kids' work.
Absolutely.
And that will be a nice culminating event. And
Okay.
I think that's also something that is really supportive of the notion of empowering the kids, for them to be able to show their work to the public, get some feedback on it, is, I think, a very positive way to end the experience.
Absolutely. I would love to see what they come up with in
Come
5
down
days
to
of it.
Consumer, we'd be happy to have.
Okay, someone would really like to know, or probably ask, why the adolescents, why we're dealing with these people, and why this particular hospital, and why people who are going treatment in this particular facility.
Well, I think that the other workshops in other places that I have studied have generally worked with young people. And we're looking at participants who are 15 to 16 years old.
15 to 16?
The bulk will be 15 to 16. There are some peer mentors who work with the kids ordinarily, who are probably 19 to 20. Some of them are at university, some of them may be working, and they will be incorporated into the group, both to be a reassuring presence for the younger people because they know them and they've worked with them before, and also because we think they would benefit from this as well. You know, adolescents are very vulnerable, and they're often not able to let adults know what they need and what they want, in a way. And I think it's been shown that these workshops and just reaching out to adolescents can have a very beneficial effect on them. And I saw this myself when we met with the kids the other day. There were a couple of kids who came in. They looked sort of like, what am I doing here? And by the end, they were really engaged in offering us their opinions and their thoughts about what we could do to make this more relevant to them. So I think, you know, the combination of the vulnerability of adolescents and the possibility of opening a door for them, metaphorically, is why we want to work with younger people.
Something very interesting as well that I'd pick up from that is that this is a person probably who's not open, doesn't talk at home, feels like
Exactly.
society does not, feel anything about them. And then here's an opportunity where you have a conversation with
Exactly.
them. And it could be about photography, but that could lead to another conversation
Yes,
where now they
absolutely.
get to be more open and be more confident. And at least they know something. You know the way I just know this particular skill and nobody else can take it away from me. And they say knowledge is one thing that nobody can take away from you, which is an
Absolutely.
absolutely amazing thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see you do this and more.
I
And
hope so.
I'm sure
yeah.
people out there would like to know how to get in touch with you and if this help could extend
Well,
to...
I think that probably the way to get in touch is through the ICAP offices. Doris Natore, who has shown me around Kisumu and Nairobi in the last week, would probably be the contact person. And I think that would probably be the best way. So maybe you can follow up with her and get that information.
problem. So we're going to be posting all the links where
Great.
people can get in touch
Terrific.
with that. So you talked about cameras coming in and everything. So what we're using right now when you're training them is cameras that you're going to take away, but eventually after they've graduated the 5 days and the exhibition and everything and they're good at what they do, that's when probably
Well,
they're going to...
we're going to give the kids cameras. They'll be able to take them home so that they can photograph in their homes, in their neighborhoods, if they choose to do so. And they'll have the cameras for the duration of the workshop, but then ICAP will retain the cameras for the next series of workshops. So we will recycle the cameras through a series of workshops.
Okay.
Because they really, we need them to work with other people.
It's true. Follow-up. See, you've met a kid who has learned so much, their lives has been changed, and they would like to do more. Is there a follow-up program that will make sure that they still stay the course?
This is the first of the program. We'll see what happens as a result of this. We think that if there's an exceptional young person who says, I want to do more, we will try to make that happen, possibly through one of the mentors who might be willing to, meet periodically with one of the participants and advise them on things. There's a lot of information on the internet that we can package, that they can access. um, we'll find a way to make it happen. We would never want to leave someone behind who really, really wanted the opportunity. So I think, we'll have to see how it goes and address those issues in an ongoing way. But the clinic that these kids work at has many services to support them, psychosocial services and all sorts of things. So we can find a way to work through that, I think.
Absolutely. And before we come to the end of this conversation, you as a person, I'm sure going or working through this journey definitely means something for you. You're learning as well. And, it's life-changing for you as well. So maybe you could just share with us some of the things that this particular noble cause has done to your life.
Well, I would say, first of all, coming to Africa, I've never been to Africa before, and I tried to come without any preconceptions. And it's been an unbelievable experience. I've only been here 5 days, but it really has been life-changing in many ways, especially visiting the hospital and meeting the students and meeting the incredible people who care for them, and getting to see all of the different organizations that ICAP has developed there that really fulfill the needs of so many people. So that, I would say, is number one on the list. In New York, where I've been fortunate enough to work with other people at ICAP at Columbia University who are responsible for having developed these programs in cooperation with their Kenyan colleagues, meeting people who are so dedicated and devoted and to changing other people's lives who don't have to do it. I mean, they do it because they feel compelled to help, has been really incredible and inspiring. And I've always done my own work, and I really, up until now, never engaged in an activity that brought me to another place, brought me to a whole other population, and that's been incredible. And I have 2 kids myself who are not adolescents anymore. They're in their 20s, both of whom are very engaged in the world. My son is a reporter, my daughter is a teacher, and I feel like I've learned a lot from them that's brought me to this place. So it's been very interesting and very inspiring.
All right. This is me killing 2 birds with 1 stone because of my segment called photography, and because we've got people out there who'd like to achieve what you've achieved as a photographer. So what are some of the key things that people should be looking out for if you want to be that amazing stand-out photographer?
I use photography in a very different way than a lot of other people do. It's very personal. For my entire career as a photographer, and I wish I had it with me, I've used the same plastic toy camera made in China in the 1950s. It's called a Diana camera. It has a plastic lens. It has 3 settings on it: sun, shade, and mountains. So it is the antithesis of what everyone probably who is a working photographer uses. And I've used it more, I would say, like a paintbrush and paints rather than, so my work is very personal, very impressionistic. It's not photojournalism, it's not clear-cut photography. The images are really kind of what I see when I look at something. They're not entirely realistic. So, I've always done my own thing, and some people respond to it and others don't, but it's gotten me to where I've wanted to be. I think persistence, having a point of view and just sticking to it is really important in photography, as it is in any other pursuit. And trying to believe in yourself, even when it seems like other people don't really understand what you're doing or don't appreciate it. I think if you try to believe in yourself and you try to stick to what your passion is, somebody's going to recognize it. And it may not be somebody who is going to pay you thousands of dollars for it. It may just be somebody who says, I love that image and it means a lot to me.
Or something as selfless as what you're doing right now.
Well, I don't think it's that selfless, because I get a lot out of it. So.
You do. But in the same process, you're helping so many people.
I hope so.
Yes,
I hope
you
so.
are. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
to the show
much.
today.
Great questions. I really appreciate it.
Well, I've been speaking to Amy, who's a photographer and an educator, and she's here in Kenya for a noble cause at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital in Kisumu City, taking care of about 20 adolescents and teaching them the skills of photography and hoping that this will be life-changing for them. That's all we had for you on Motivate. Remember to keep this conversation going on our social media platforms, KTN Life and Style on Facebook, KTN Life _ Style on Twitter and Instagram. SMS is 22840. We are outside today. It's all about sun and having a good day. This is Inspiration Thursday. We're taking a short commercial break. We'll be right back with books and blogs and restaurant of the week.
So how comes a black cow eats green grass and produces white milk? You must always find good in all this negativity that is trying to speak to you, and consistently.